मैम स्क्रीन शेयर करनी है आपको?
जी
स्क्रीन शेयर करनी है कोई?
अच्छा जी सर हो गया।
यस मैम यू आर
ओके लाइव हो गया, ठीक है ऑलराइट ओके गुड आफ्टरनून. There was a slight technical delay, so sorry about that. So let's get on with the lecture. Good afternoon, Vaibhav. Hello, Kanika. I'm good. Shubh, Abhineet, welcome to the class. So let's go back to what we did in the last class. Let's recapitulate. Okay, so we are currently on Unit 2, and in the last class, I'm sure you can take screenshots of all of this while I'm teaching you. Okay, and then you can zoom it later if you can't see. So we did intrapersonal, interpersonal, and group communication. We discussed verbal and non-verbal communication, and lastly, we looked at personal, social, and business communication. In the levels of communication, we looked at extrapersonal, which means to interact with a non-human entity. These levels of communication are especially important for English A students because you can be asked on it. You can be given a few examples, and you can be made to identify what kind of communication it is. Okay, so extrapersonal is the communication between a human and a non-human entity. Then we looked at Intrapersonal means the communication that we have in our own head, in our minds, and it can be silent talk, mirror talk, journal writing, question suggestion, and anything that we, try to motivate ourselves, try to calm ourselves before the viva and all of that. Then we talked about interpersonal. Interpersonal is when you are communicating with one or more human beings around you. Then you have organizational. Organizational, we looked at internal operational, where the colleagues or the managers are talking to each other. External operational, when, for example, you hire a freelancer or someone from outside the company. And lastly, personal, any communication that you are doing on your own end, right? So any kind of organizational relationship means any communication that happens within an organization. Then we looked at mass communication. Mass communication is the kind of communication which involves a large audience, and it can happen through TV, journals, magazines, newspaper, internet, social media, etc. Then we look at types of communication, which include formal and informal, verbal and non-verbal, and written. So in verbal and non-verbal, we have to see that verbal requires us to use words, right? And you need verbal can be verbal is used most often because it is quicker, it saves times, it's more spontaneous in its nature. Non-verbal can include any kind of gestures, right? The gestures of face expressions, etc. We looked at verbal communication, which includes oral and written. Oral again is very spontaneous, and written is sorry, when I was talking to you about verbal and non-verbal, both of them are equally spontaneous as long as they're spoken and they're shown on the face. So I'm sorry, I made a mistake over there. But I was talking about verbal communication. Verbal communication, oral is a spontaneous one, and written is the one that you need to be literate enough, you need to be knowledgeable enough about how to write. And you will be following a lot of grammar rules while writing, whereas in verbal, we do not really focus much on grammar rules. Then lastly, we looked at non-verbal communication. In non-verbal communication, we looked at here, let's start. We looked at kinesics. Kinesics is any kind of study of the body's movements, the way we use our hands, the way we use these gestures and all of this, right? So us folding our hands like this, doing this and all of that. So it's basically the study of body's physical movements without the use of words. All right, and in kinesics, you can look at the personal appearance, about how a person wears his or her clothes, how is he dressed up, his posture, is he sitting upright, reflecting confidence, or is he slouched, right? ऐसे बैठना, right? And that means that you're scared, you don't know how to present yourself, right? Then gestures. How are we moving our hands? Like I've just shown you, our facial expressions do to reflect anger, fear, happiness, and our eye contact. Are we meeting the eyes of the person who's sitting right in front of us or not? Okay, then we talked about proxemics, and I told you to remember the word proximity, about how far or close the person is who's talking to us. The more closer we are to a person, the more closer he or she can stand next to us. The more we don't know the other person, the more far he or she is going to be. Okay, that is proxemics, and it is divided into intimate space, personal space, social space, and public space. And then we talked about chronomics. I told you to remember by the word chronology. And chronomics is the study of time to communicate. If you're calling you at a 3 o'clock lecture and you join at 3:55 and say, ma'am, attendance chahiye, so that's not going to happen. It's going to show how lazy or tardy you are as a student, right? So if you have a 3 o'clock lecture, we expect you to be there at 3 o'clock, not at 2 o'clock to show that you're overexcited attending the lecture, but 3 o'clock. That time is a valuable resource, and how well are you using it, or how well are you acting to it to communicate your behavior. Then haptics. Haptics is the language of touch. How are you hugging the person? How are you the handshake, the hand that you keep on your friend's shoulder blade, right? And how a mother hugs a small child. So all of this is the language of touch. Okay, and it speaks volumes about how close you are to a person or how distant you are to a person. About if you're angry, are you crushing the person? Sometimes the handshakes are really awkward, and sometimes they're really painful, right? So that ways you can decipher about what kind of a touch he or it is. And then paralanguage is, of course, how are we changing our volume, the meanings that we convey without saying anything, with saying something. So for example, when we are changing our voice, paralanguage is when what kind of meaning is conveyed through the changing of our tone. How about how we are saying things? Are we saying it loud? Are we saying it softly? Are we saying it quickly? Or are we saying it and I really we're thinking about, we're mulling it over? Are there pauses in our speech while we are speaking? Are we stressing on a particular word? Are we using okay, and then are we using I don't know. So these are the things. So the kind of, whenever we're using words, whenever we're using verbal language, verbal oral language, how are we speaking? Right? It's basically the meaning that is conveyed when we are speaking, and how are we speaking. That is paralanguage. And then lastly, we looked at sign language, in which we looked at audio signs, visual signs, and audio visual signs. Audio signs can be, we're standing in traffic. I gave you an example, and there's an ambulance going 10 in, and then we know it's a ambulance. Visual signs are, of course, you see it everywhere. The no smoking signs, the toxic signs, right? And audiovisual signs are, of course, when you can see on metros, you can see in a plane, where they have a ting to it, and they'll also tell you that the darwaza khul gaya hai, and fasten your seat belts and all of that. Okay, so this is what we did in the last class, and I hope this is clear. These are important terms to you as a student of communication theory, proxemics, haptics, kinesics. So I hope this is clear, and definitely focus on levels of communication too. Okay, so today we'll be starting with the second part of unit 2. So let me just share the slide. Yes, good afternoon everyone. Tejasvi, Mayank, Akshay, Janvi, Shubh, Rahul, Krishna, Ekta, Sonam, Rupali, Nidhi, Bhavya, Vaibhav, Sanket. Yeah. Neha, if the proxemics is the study of syllabus, Neha Sharma, and it means that, for example, we are very close to a person, right? We are, my best friend of 10 years or 20 years. So I can make her sit right next to me and she can have her hand on my shoulder like this. But I would not allow that kind of behavior maybe on a metro. It's not like we can go on a metro and a person can just have a hand on our shoulder and he can sit with us like this. No, that is space. That is proxemics. And when a leader is, for example, giving a speech to an audience, he is not going to stand with the people. He's going to stand away from it. So it determines some kind of distance. A teacher will always be slightly away from the desks, right? When we are sitting in a physical classroom. So our space with the other person is mostly dictated by the kind of relationship we have, right? The more closer you are, like for your mother and your father, they can come and hug you, they can come and pat your back, and they can squeeze you like a little child, right? But that squeezing and that hugging, it cannot be done by a stranger. So that's what I'm talking about. That is the spaces, the idea of spaces, how and what it communicates. Okay, good afternoon, Muskan, Nikhil, Mannat, Rupan, Suraj, Neha, Jyoti, Himanshu, Nikhil. All right. Ruchi, like I've said, as and when the PPT is being shown to you, please take a screenshot. Please take a screenshot. I think that's the most that you guys can do. Okay. Because this is, of course, personal property in a way. And so, of course, if you want, you can take screenshots of it. And of course, these lectures will be uploaded on your dashboard. And I have repeatedly told you about the book. And I do not understand why do you keep telling me to repeat myself. So I think this is the last time I'm going to tell you, and then I'll be ignoring these comments on the book hereafter. That if you want to buy the book, please buy the book, which is it specifies that it follows the Delhi University AECC curriculum, and there are many books in the market right now. So please just focus on the one that says that it follows the AECC curriculum as prescribed by the Delhi University syllabus. And on the other hand, I told you that once our classes will be over, I will definitely provide you with material. So any questions hereafter regarding the book will not be answered because they have been answered in every session, and it somehow I feel that there is a gap in hearing, or there is some kind of ignorance on your part too. So I'm sorry for that. Khushbu, the difference between AECC is there on your I think fee received, as someone pointed it out, that go back and check your fee receipt and you will know if you're in English A, English B, or English C. Okay, so let's get back to today's lecture. We're running a little late. Yeah, so I hope you can see this. I hope the PPT is visible. Okay, all right. So this is part 2 of Unit 2, and today we will be doing formal and informal communication, flow of communication, communication networks, and informal communication or Grapevine. Okay, so what is formal and informal communication? Very simple. I'm sure you know what this is. Formal and informal communication is depending on the circumstance and the person one is interacting with, one chooses whether to communicate formally or informally. In that sense, communication can be categorized into formal or informal. Grapevine is the other name for informal communication. Mostly in the personal world, we tend to communicate formally as the occasion demands it, but in our personal life, we are usually informal. This particular unit that we're doing today is very important to you because of the term grapevine. Oftentimes, you get questions on grapevine. What is grapevine? Okay. So non-formal and non-formal, of course, you know the difference. When you are personally communicating with someone on a personal level, that's your siblings, your friends, your family, it is informal. But when you are in an organization, when you meet perhaps even a stranger, you will be talking to him or her in a formal setting, in a formal way, in a formal manner. Okay, now flow of communication, another very important topic that we'll be discussing today, grapevine and flow of communication. And I have touched upon this earlier when we were discussing the definitions, the part 3 of unit 1. Okay, so in the last unit we were looking at those definitions, remember, and during that time I told you we will be focusing on the flow of communication. Now what is flow of communication? Communication in an organization can be both formal and informal, but in majority of the cases within an organization, the communication is formal and patterned. Now, what do you mean by that? And I have two diagrams for you that are vertical. Just keep in mind what is vertical. Vertical is like this and horizontal is like this. Right? So vertical communication can be upward and it can be downward. So what is upward and downward? Vertical communication consists of both upward and downward communication in an organizational communication chain. That is, communication between the superiors and the subordinates within an organization hierarchy. For smooth functioning of an organization, there should be a balance between superiors communicating to the subordinates and the subordinates communicating to the superiors. So when superiors communicate with the subordinates, superiors are communicated to by the subordinates. All right, so just tell me quickly, when you are talking to me, what kind of communication is it? Is it downward or is it upward? When you write your comments in the chat box, is it upward communication or downward communication? Quickly. Yes, anyone? It is upward. Okay, good. Akshay, Chandani, Jia, Urvashi, Muskan, Vindhya, Shiksha, Kimti, Ria, Manish, Nidhi, okay, Kanshaga, Mannat, all right. And when perhaps an HOD comes and talks to you, what kind of communication will that be? An HOD or a dean comes and talks to you. Okay, when an HOD is talking to you, HOD or a dean is talking to you, then what kind of communication will that be? Okay. Ruchi, Honey, Muskan, Shikha, Prakhar, Dipanshu, Jyoti. Okay. All right. So you've understood that upward is, of course, it's based on a hierarchy, like a student, teacher, HOD, dean, vice chancellor. Okay. And then when they go like this, the vice chancellor, dean, HOD, teacher, student. Okay. And we are all part of the organization. We are all part of as well. So whatever is happening, it's happening in this organization, right? Just like employer, manager, and project manager, then CEO, and etc. etc. All right. Okay. Good. All right. So you've understood. Then the next is horizontal and lateral. So we have talked about like this. Now we are going like this. Horizontal or lateral communication is communication between employees who are at the same hierarchical level in an organizational hierarchy. Okay. And then diagonal communication is in diagonal communication, the flow of communication is in all directions and it cuts an organization's hierarchy, making it quick and effective, right? So from one person over here, like an employee over here, he surpasses his manager and goes to the other manager, or he goes to the top management, right? So he's surpassing someone. Okay, so it's going to be diagonal. So for example, horizontal and lateral communication. When you are talking to your classmate, what kind of communication is that? When you are talking to your classmate. When you are talking to your classmate, verbal is oral and written communication, and non-verbal is when you're using gestures, face expressions, uh, all of that, gestures, face expressions, eye contact, posture, clothes, that's non-verbal. And verbal is oral and written. Okay. So yes, so people have responded. Chandni, Akshay, Ruchi, Muskan, Kinti, Urvashi, Dhananjay, Ekta, Shikha, Kashika, Khushi, Kajal, Prerna, Jia, Vanshika, Siddhi, Sanket, Fiza, Rajan, Poonam. Okay. When Dean of Social Sciences is talking to the Dean of Natural Sciences, what kind of communication is that? Sneha, you're okay? Sorry. Yeah, yes. Snehal, Dipanshu, Gungun, Anshika, Archit, Manthan. Okay. All right. Literal. Okay. Okay. No, Kimti. No. Kimti, HOD is, yeah. Dean of Natural Sciences and Dean of Social Sciences are both deans. So they're on one position, right? It's horizontal. Okay. All right. So, no, upward, Anjali, no. Lateral, lateral. They're on one position. Both of them are deans. I'm saying dean of natural sciences and dean of social sciences. Okay, let's change it. Chalo, dean of commerce and dean of humanities. Okay, both of them are in the same position. No. Not diagonal, not upward. They're all in the same position. This is confusing you. Why? No. Okay, then I'll change it. Then I'll say, okay, HOD of English and HOD of Commerce. What is that? HOD of English and HOD of Commerce is talking. Here, have a look at this. HOD of English and HOD of Commerce. Okay, now you've understood that deans are on both levels, HODs are on both levels. All right, okay. Okay, now you as a commerce student have to talk to the HOD of English. A commerce student, for example, Muskan, okay? So Muskan has to talk to the HOD of English. Now, what kind of communication will that be? Muskan over here or Dipali over here, Krishna over here, they have to talk to the HOD of English department. What kind of communication is that? Urvashi, you're wrong. Urvashi. Hitika. No. The word I'm looking for is diagonal. Yes, of course, there is upward, but when you're talking about upward, keep in mind that you are referring to one particular team over there, right? The way that I'm just using words like, umbrella terms like employer and manager. But here, when I'm particularly specifying that a commerce student, for example, Muskan has to talk to the HOD of English, then I'm specifying something, right? And here, therefore, it will be diagonal. Okay, it will be diagonal. But when you're particularly saying that Muskan is from BCom, right, and she's from the commerce department, and then she has to talk to the HOD of commerce, then you can freely use the term upward. Okay, but right now when I'm particularly specifying that a commerce student has to talk to the HOD of English, then I would expect you to answer diagonal. Okay, diagonal. Think about it. Think about it. Think about what I have just said. Did you understand that? That when I'm saying English to English, when I'm saying commerce to commerce, I'm specifying a particular team over there. And therefore, you can use the words upwards and downwards. But when I'm saying a movement is done across departments, right, focus on that. I'm saying that a commerce student's talking to another department and another department student's talking to the another one, so that is diagonal. Okay, have a look at this particular diagram over here. Yeah, you can see the diagram. So it is from here to here. When I'm saying English, it will be only here, like the HOD is over here and English students are here, commerce students are here, and the commerce department is over here. So, but here you can see a student of English is talking to a commerce one. So I'm expecting the word diagonal. All right, focus on it. Then we have communication networks. What is communication networks? These are networks, the formal patterns or networks in organizations that can be categorized in 5 divisions, right? So the way we communicate when we are part of an organization. Okay, so first is the chain network. In chain networks, the members of the network communicate through intermediaries who relay the messages to the top, right? So for example, in a class, we can have around 5 to 6 CRs, okay? And those 5 to 6 CRs will collect all the information and talk to me as a teacher, all right? So that is the chain. Okay, and for example, if you are going to present something and you make a team and the team has a leader, so each one of you will collect your information and then go to the team leader to discuss this is what we have, noted down, and this is what we feel is the right thing, right? So if I give you as a class right now, so for example, there are, for example, there are 237 students right now, okay? And I select 5 students out of these 237 students to tell me what is the right time to give you an assignment, okay? Don't worry, there's not an assignment, I'm just giving you an example. So I'll choose these 5 students and I'll tell them what will be a good time to set an assignment, and these 5 students will talk to all of you and then they'll all come up with their particular dates. Ma'am, this time will be fine, ma'am, this time will be fine, and they'll all come to me. Okay, so these people have been selected and they're collecting all the information and going to that one person who has all the power, or who is going to tell you the future process, what it is going to be like, if you're going to get the assignment or not. Okay, so that is a chain network, when all the intermediaries relay the information to the top, like when the team is working and they have to relay all the information to the project manager. Okay, that is chain network. Then we have Y network. In the Y network, the member at the fork, this of the fork Y, is the central person. Now, for example, I am or at the Y network's center. Okay, I have students who I am teaching, and then there are the HODs who are there above me, okay, which I am answerable to. So if you have any issues, you tell me, and if they have any issues that they want me to tell you, so I am in the center. Right, I am the center of this Y network. So there are two HODs perhaps sitting over here, there are two managers sitting over here, and the students are over here. So the students will tell me all the information, and I'll tell the managers above me, and the managers, if they want me to relay any information, they will tell me, and I will tell all of the team members. Right, so again, you can have this, keep in mind, like, for example, again, you are part of a presentation, you have to give a presentation, and A and B are managers. I hope you can see the diagram, A and B and managers, and you are part of a group. So D and E and etc will tell you all the information that you need to tell A and B also, and A and B will also tell you all the information that you have to tell D and E. Okay, so this is Y network. And then we have the wheel network. In wheel networks, individual members communicate with the central member separately. The central member is a superior authority who controls all the communication. So the wheel will be the HOD. Okay, and in our department, for example, if we have 5 teachers, okay, we have 5 teachers, for example, and the wheel has one individual member, that is the HOD, and we will all communicate directly to him. Okay, again, it's like, for example, if you are part of a team, if I make a team for presentation, okay, and you have appointed, for example, Muskan as the person that you have to communicate with. So you are not going to communicate together, you're not going to communicate with each other, but you're only going to tell Muskan what you think is right, and then Muskan will present it to the teacher or whatever. Okay, you do not know each other, right? And this happens a lot, like when we are freelancing, right? When I'm sure you know what freelancing means, that there is this one person who has given or delegated the task to many different freelancers. Those freelancers don't know about each other, right? But they are talking to this one person who has information on all of them, who communicates with all of them, and that is wheel network. And then we have circle network. In circle network, members communicate with the person next to them. Therefore, one member can communicate with 2. In this kind of network, there is no central figure, hence it is a kind of egalitarian network. And circle is very, very easy, right? In circle, you are talking to 2 members that are right next to you. Okay, you stand, for example, in a class, if you were to have an exercise and I make a circle, so you will always talk to the person that's next to you. You cannot talk to the person sitting in front of you, because you're talking to the other person that's next to you on both the sides, and the other person is also doing that, and the other person is also doing that. So it's a kind of a circle, and there is no head. There is no one you're reporting to. You are all on the same position. Okay, circle networks are often seen when you're part of all of these when you're working in an organization, when you're working in an office, and you're part of a team. Okay, in that team there is no one who's heading you, right? That manager is heading you, but as a team you are on the same basis, right? You know each other, you're friends with each other, you're doing the same work, so you're a group that is on the same footing. No one is above you, no one is below you. So that's the circle network. Okay, you are part of a team and you're working as part of a team. Nobody is above you. Okay, so that is circle network. Rupansh says that Y network. Wait a second. Rupansh, Y network is like I've said that, for example, in a team, you're working in a team and there are two managers. A and B are two managers, and in the team, you have selected a group leader. Okay, that C will be a group leader. In Y network, the C is that one central person who will who will send messages above him and who will send messages below him. C वो है जो center में आता है और वो messages ऊपर भी भेजेगा manager को और वो messages नीचे भी भेजेगा अपने employers को, अपने clients को वगैरह. ठीक है, जैसे right now, if for example, if a paper is being shared, it happens a lot in while teaching, right? A paper can be shared by two teachers, है ना? A is also teaching you English, B is also teaching you English, and C is your class representative. So A and B, both of, like if I am A and this other teacher is B, so we are both teaching you English, and this C person will always come up with queries that the students are facing. So all of the students will tell C ki ma'am ko batao that this is happening. And then A and B as teachers also, if we want to send you an information, if you want to send the information to the class, we will tell C. Okay, so there is always going to be that one person in Y network who will be communicating information above him and below him. Okay, that is C. In then, sorry, just a second. In wheel network, there is always one particular person that, just think of a wheel. Na? In wheel, there is one center and the spokes come out of it. So everybody is talking to that person. Okay, he is the head. He keeps us together. Okay, and that is wheel network. And circle is when everybody is talking to the next person around them and then the other person is talking to the next person around them. So it's a a democratic setting, right, where everyone is equal. So that's circle. And then we have channel. Just a second. Then we have channel network. In on channel network, as the term suggests, all the members have the freedom to communicate with anyone or he or she wants to communicate with. Therefore, fast exchange of information can happen in this network. So for example, if I have a WhatsApp group, okay, if I start a WhatsApp group, so everyone, I haven't made anyone admins, or I haven't stopped any person from talking. So you are all talking to each other, right? You are all talking to each other. You can talk to anyone on the WhatsApp group. That's channel network. Okay, nobody's heading anyone, nobody is representing anyone, nobody is relaying the information of the other people. You are all free to talk to anyone around you. That is channel network. Okay. Please do not confuse horizontal with this circle networks. That is flow of communication. How is the flow happening? Laterally, diagonally, horizontally, and vertically. That's flow of networks. What we are studying right now are communication networks. So don't bring them together. Just try to understand them from a different point of view. Okay. Okay. Group of circle networks, again, Anshika, like I've said, that you're part of an office and you have been given a group of, you've been told that this is your team. Okay, this is your team and and you have to work together. Okay, so you in that team, you do not have a head. In that team, nobody is below you. You are all part of the same team. For example, if you are a content writer, okay, and you join a group of content writers, and then there is this editor who's above you. But as a team, you are all content writers. Okay, you're all writing and you're all reporting to the editor, but right now in the circle communication, you are only focusing on the content writers. You're only talking amongst you. You are not talking to someone who's above you, you're not talking to someone who's below you. You're only talking to the other person. Okay? You're only talking to the other person who's sitting next to you. And that's circle. Yeah. In chain network, so people have this confusion. Let me just, I hope you can see the screen right now. In chain network, there is this one person who's superior. Okay, every other person is talking to the other person so that the message can go to the superior. In circle, you are all on the same position. Like I've said, all the writers are talking amongst each other. All content writers who are talking to the next person. Okay, in the office. But in the chain network, if this content writer is talking to the other content writer and they are talking to the editor, okay, this person is talking to the person, another person, this person is talking to another person, and they're talking to the editor. So in chain network, there is one person who's sitting at the top. In circle, there is no one who's sitting in the top. Okay. So now let's move on to informal or grapevine communication. Okay, so we have looked at communication networks and we're moving to informal or grapevine. We all tend to communicate personally with some members of our organization beyond our professional obligations. Hence, there's a need for informal communication, also known as grapevine. Very, very important to us. So, as part of an organization, when you are not talking to your manager or when you're not talking to the person who's above you in a more formal setting, and you are communicating informally, then it is called grapevine communication, right? For example, if you're working in an organization and then you are like, kya Christmas ki chutti hai ya nahi hai? Okay, so that is not part of, you're just asking like a friend who's next to you. You're asking to your manager, bhai sir, Christmas ki chutti hai ya nahi? So you're doing that in a very informal way. You're not sending out emails, sir, do we have chutti na? Or you hear a rumor कि उसका promotion हुआ. You don't know whether it's certain or not, but you are communicating. Okay, so that's informal communicating. उसका promotion हुआ ही नहीं हुआ. अरे नया join हुआ ही नहीं हुआ. Right? So the kind of communicating that you do on with your friends in the workplace, or when you're not writing emails or sending reports, that's informal communication or grapevine communication. Now in grapevine communication, we have first single strand communication, where information passes from A to B and B to C and so on. And this case, there is very little chance of verification, right? So this is very simple. So as part of an organization, we always say, somebody starts a rumor कि there's this promotion, Rahul ka promotion हुआ है. Okay, and then I'll tell the other person, you know what, Rahul got promoted. The other person saying Rahul got promoted. Other person saying Rahul got promoted. We don't know. We have just heard. We do not believe that he may have got promoted, but we're just saying because we heard it from somewhere. Okay, so the news travels like this. Remember when we did with Chinese whisper, when we were young, used to play this game. Whatever we have heard, we'll pass it on. We'll pass it on and on and on and on. And sometimes those words get twisted. Okay, so single strand is when you find an information, you pass it on others, and you don't know if it's true or not. Okay, then gossip chain. In gossip chain, a person sends an information to the entire group. So for example, I start a WhatsApp group, okay, and I am part of an organization, and I will tell you what is happening over there. Oh my God, so and so thing happened, or so and so thing happened. So I am the one who has all the information, and I'm going to tell you, okay, I am the central person in the group, in the gossip chain. I am A, and I will be telling you everything. Okay, so that is gossip chain. Then probability chain. Probability chain is where a person A sends information randomly without specifically choosing a recipient of the message. Okay, then it can be, I start a WhatsApp group, okay, and I'll say that so our next class is on 20th. Okay, and now I've sent that message to everyone in the group, so that our number can be 300 students, 400 students. I have not pointed out and said that only Muskan, this information is for Muskan, or this information is for Kimti, or this information is for Rupansh. No, I have just told you that the class will happen on the 20th of January. Okay, so it's a probability chain. I have just sent a message randomly, and you can, circulate it more. You can put it on your Telegram group, or you can put it on your Insta group, you can put it on your Snapchat, that there's this class that is happening. So it is entirely up to you. I have given the information randomly without choosing the recipients. Anyone can receive the news. Okay, that's probability chain. But in the earlier one, gossip chain, I have chosen a kind of information. A person chooses information to send the other persons in the group. So I have not chosen here in gossip chain. I have chosen the recipients. I have chosen these specific few 10 people who I'm sending the information. In probability, I've just sent the information to anyone and everyone. Okay. Cluster chain. Cluster chain is person A sends message to B and C, and each of them conveys it to the cluster of others. The sender is selective about the receiver when she sends the message, and the receiver takes the role of the sender and sends it to multiple people. So in informal communication or grapevine, what you need to focus on is the idea that how we are selecting the recipient. Who's the recipient? The one who's going to receive the message. In single strand, we just keep on circulating it with the next person that we meet. In gossip chain, there is one sender and he chooses the recipients. He chooses the people he is going to select for the receiving of the information. Like for example, in gossip chain, I have the information and I will select all the CRs. Okay. Then in probability chain, I have started a WhatsApp group and I have just randomly put a message. There is no specific a recipient that I have chosen. I have just sent a message for anyone, everyone. Then in cluster chain. In cluster chain, I will select two CRs. Okay, I will select two CRs and I'll tell them the information. Those two CRs will select other two people that they will send the information. For example, if I am the head of Delhi, okay, I will choose South Delhi and East Delhi for information. And now within East Delhi, sorry, I know Central Delhi. So let's do Central Delhi. So for example, in Central Delhi, and I am the Chief Minister of Delhi, and I have chosen to send you information to Central Delhi and South Delhi. Okay, now in Central Delhi, further the information will be chosen to be given to Janpat and CP. Whereas in South will be given to Greater Kailash and Vasant Kunj. Okay, so we are choosing. Each of them are choosing कि Vasant Kunj को देना है, right? और जनपद को देना है, Connaught Place को देना है. And then in जनपद we'll choose इसको देना है और इसको देना है. So in cluster chain, whoever is being selected, they are selecting their own recipients. Okay? So that you need to focus on. I know it's a little confusing. It is a little confusing, but just give it some time to absorb the information. Okay, just absorb the information and then it will soon settle down what I'm saying. Okay, and then lastly we have advantages of grapevine communication. Very important topic for you. Why do we communicate in an office? Right? When we are part of an office, when we're part of an organization, what is the need to communicate informally? Right? For example, if we are part of an organization, what is the need to communicate informally? Like we do on WhatsApp, we always ask, Suna hai, the exams are going to start. Suna hai, this happened. Why do we do that? Okay. So the first we're going to discuss the advantages of grapevine communication. Advantages of grapevine communication include the channel is speedy and spontaneous. Any news that needs to travel quickly, we'll do it through grapevine. It is speedy and spontaneous. Then it it is primarily an oral medium and consequently inexpensive. Like if we have discussed before, that written takes time, but oral is spontaneous. So it is oral medium and therefore it is inexpensive. Then the network is multi-directional and the flow of information is flexible. That the information can go here and there freely. Okay, it does not have to follow a set of flow of communication that we have to tell the manager has to tell the CEO. If I just start a rumor, it will travel anywhere and everywhere. Okay, then it can be used as an important feedback channel. For example, I want to know how are my classes being received by the student community. So I'll just say that, so what do you think about my classes on WhatsApp? And suddenly people will start giving me messages. But instead, if I send you an email and tell you to formally reply to me that this is the pattern in which you're going to tell me what do you think of the classes, what do you find bad, what do you find good, then you might think about it and not reply. Right? So quickly, if I just ask you in WhatsApp, so do you think you get what I'm saying? Do you think you like my classes? So that's an easy way. Okay, important feedback channel. Then Grapevine can also help in participatory decision making, right? Like I've said, on WhatsApp, you can decide if a teacher asks you, when do you want your assignment? You will all quickly decide and tell the teacher. But instead, if the teacher says that I'll send an email to the CR will mail all of the people in the class, and then all of those people will mail the HR will mail this person. So that will take a lot of time. Right? But it's a quick thing that if you need to have a discussion, if you need to make a decision, right, then it can be used as a parallel channel by organizations to complement the formal channel. That whenever we're talking formally, whenever we're talking through mails or in a formal setting, it is a good way to complement. It's always good way to be friends with the people you're working with, to have a nice rapport with the people you're working with and spending time with. Right? Then it can help in building interpersonal relationships within an organization and hence can create a harmonious work environment. So yes, you are part of a team. You are part of a team where the team is headed by the manager, but you can always be friends with them, right? You can always be friends with people at work. That because then it allows you to be, more happy at work, right? Then disadvantages of Grapevine communication. The disadvantage of Grapevine communication is the information passed on or circulated can be inaccurate. Like I gave you the example that if I say that, Ramesh ka promotion hua hai, do I really know? Has he been promoted? No, I don't know. I just heard it from someone and the other person is hearing from me and then he'll keep on passing it. But we don't know if it's true or not. Then messages can easily be distorted and there is no written document for reference. So sometimes it happens that there is a scandal that happened in the office, right? So and they hear that usne kaha, someone said this, someone said that. But it may have started as something else and it may have ended it in the wrong sense, in a wrong manner. If we say Ramesh ka promotion hua hai, by the time people know it is Suresh ka promotion hua hai, right? So you don't know how the information has been distorted. You don't know what information that you may have started. How does it end? Okay, then it is usually difficult to find the origin of the message as the information is anonymous, often leading to the spread of rumors. So sometimes, of course, it happens that we have started a rumor and it just goes on and the information is wrong. Like I've said, if we have asked that Christmas pe chutti hai or not, and it just keeps on and it turns into Christmas pe 5 din ki chutti hai. Okay, but by the time we are in this mode of Christmas with 5 din ki chutti, we realize that someone tells us or we get an email by the manager saying that there is no chutti only. Okay, so who started this 5 days ki chutti or who started this Christmas with chutti? So the origin is very difficult to find out in Grapevine. Okay, so I hope you understand what Grapevine is. Yes, Archit, Chinese whisper. Okay, so this is I hope you have understood what I was trying to say with the examples, and I hope you'll go back and just try to understand. I hope you write down, these important keywords that we are discussing so that you can go back and study on your own. Okay, so in today's lecture we looked at formal and informal communication. We looked at flow of communication, communication networks, and informal communication or grapevine communication. So I hope it is clear. Quickly, can someone tell me what grapevine communication is? What is grapevine communication? In the meantime, I'll just recapitulate. Formal and informal communication is when you're working in an organization, how are you communicating? Are you doing it formally through emails, through reports, through presentation, or are you doing it informally? And that informal channel is called the grapevine communication, where how you're talking to your friends, if you're talking to your manager, if there's a rumor being spread, right? Grapevine communication is when the communication in an organization is happening at an informal level, right? And then we looked at the flow of communication, upward and downward, that is vertical. Employee to the manager or manager to the employee, vertical communication. Then we looked at horizontal or lateral communication, two peers talking to each other, a classmate talking to the classmate, HOD talking to the HOD, teacher talking to a teacher, manager talking to a manager. Diagonal communication, when you move across the hierarchy, right? When a teacher is talking to perhaps the dean, when the student is talking to the another person on another college or the HOD, right? Then you have formal patterns of communication networks. We just looked at chain network, we looked at wide network. In chain network, one person is very important, right, at the head. In Y network, the person who is sitting at the center of the Y, C, is very important, okay? And then in V network, again, you have someone in the middle who is sitting, who is important and to whom all the information is being sent to, and from where the information is also coming from. Circle, the information is circulated to the other person through the other person that is next to you, okay? And then you have all channels when everybody is talking to everybody. Then informal communication, grapevine. Informal communication and grapevine, the first is single stand, where a person is talking to the other person and the person talking to the other person. Gossip chain is when A selects his recipients for the message, okay? And probability chain is when A sends out message randomly without the selection of the recipients. Cluster chain is when A selects two recipients, right? And that two recipients select those two recipients, and then so on. So there's a conscious selection in recipients. Then we looked at the advantages of grapevine and we looked at the disadvantages of grapevine. So I hope so far things have been clear, and very good, Muskan, very good. Okay. Grapevine is Snehal, all right. Dipali, in an organization, please specify Dipali, Srishti, Snehal. Please specify that in an organization. Okay, in an organization, when the informal communication happening in an organization, because right now even if you're sitting in a class, you can just circulate rumors, but you should be part of an organization to be called grapevine. Okay, so I hope this has been clear to you, and then we'll meet in the next class. Okay, I think there is been a group that has been formed on Microsoft Teams, if I'm not wrong. I will talk to sir about it. I think on Microsoft Teams we do have a group. Okay, so I think we'll be sharing things on it. All right then. I'll see you in the next class. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Bye-bye.